Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. This is Real Talk with Coach Sherry, and this channel is about workforce development, career readiness, entrepreneurship, and of course, real life, real issues, and real talk. If you are here for the first time or you're still on the fence and still are considering, I invite you right now to hit that subscribe button and the bell for notification. Please give this live a thumbs up. I'm trying to tell you, you're going to want to give this video a thumbs up numerous times throughout this live. Be sure to share if you know anyone that went to an HBCU, especially if they went to the first HBCU, Lincoln University. Share this video with them because this conversation with the alumni that I have, they are going to want to be tuned in. Join the chat and let us know. Put some comments in there, questions, and just let us know how you are enjoying this live. And also, if you're looking at this on the replay, leave a comment in the comment section and let me know what nugget you gained from this live. I am so excited about tonight's live, and it is the Quad Chat. The Quad, if you went to college, many campuses have what's called a quad. Many things happen on that quad. People gather there, they talk there, sororities and fraternities step and sing there. It is a gathering place for sure. And so tonight's live is all about a gathering place. And it's quad because we're going to be chit-chatting about HBCU life and in particular Lincoln University. It's also called quad because I am also an alumni of Lincoln University. And so I have 3 other guests. So it's 4 of us, hence quad. I want to also be sure to point out my sponsor for my Friday night live, and that is Creative Minds Create. And you can check out what they have to offer at creativemindscreate.com. They are the perfect gift for that hard to find, hard to buy for special person in your life. That person that is sentimental, that person that has everything, that person that could buy what they want and they are just always like, no, don't get me anything, don't worry about me. But you know that when you do get them something special, they love it and cherish it. And Creative Minds Create, they create jewelry that is special just like that. It's special because it's customized, it's personalized, and it's something that they will hold near and dear. Holidays are upon us, birthdays, anniversaries, new babies are being born. There's so many occasions that this jewelry will be perfect for. So I am going to be introducing to you my special guest. But first, I'm going to check in the chat and see. I want to welcome everyone in. I see Jessica Hicks is in the building. Pink Motivation. Oh my goodness, Pink Motivation. I have been looking at your live from yesterday. I really wanted to be there, but I have been catching it on the replay. I've had a challenging, busy day, so I've been catching bits and pieces, but the conversation that you and your panel had was phenomenal. If you guys don't have Pink Motivation, you know what? It was Positive Pusher. But Pink Motivation, you are still the bomb. Absolutely. It was Positive Pusher. And hello, Edward Smart. How are you doing? I am so glad that you all are in the building. And for those of you that have not yet come in to say hello, I want to welcome you and say hello as well. Please don't forget to thumbs up this live. You guys, this time that we are in right now is challenging. Things are happening and things are being done so differently. And homecomings are not an exception. This is the first time in history that homecomings all around the country are being held virtually. And there's so much around that, we need to embrace each other the best we can. And so when alumni, when schools, when students get together and say, you know what, we may not be able to come together in person, but we are still going to keep our traditions going and still celebrate our school, celebrate our history, celebrate each other. And so Lincoln University, which was founded in 1854, you guys, I'm trying to tell you, it was founded in 1854. It is the oldest And if Pastor Kim's Corner comes in the building, I know she is going to try and challenge that. But we are the oldest HBCU in this country. We were actually founded before slavery was over. And because slavery was still going on, we had to be in a safe place. So we are nestled in Amish land, and our campus is one of the most, no, it's not one, it is the most beautiful campus in the United States as far as HBCUs are concerned. And I've been to many, from Louisiana to Pennsylvania. And Lincoln continues to grow, it continues to thrive, it continues to educate scholars who are going back into communities and making a real difference. It is one of the best, absolute best decisions I've ever made. And I am so happy to call it home. And this weekend, we're having our virtual homecoming. And I hope that you guys were able to catch my clip. And if you didn't, I made a quick video. It's about 46 seconds long. And information about our homecoming is there. But I will also leave it in the description box after this video is published, because you all are welcome, because our home is your home. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up my special guests, and they are going to also share a little bit more about their experiences with being a student at Lincoln and life after. And so I am going to be introducing to you, let me see who else is in the building first. And Jessica Hicks is saying, oh, I didn't know that. Good info. For some reason, I thought Howard was the oldest. No, Howard comes after Lincoln. And many schools were crafted around how Lincoln has been crafted. We have some of the most amazing alum that have come through our gates. I mean, all of us that are here tonight are examples of that as well. But we have alums such as Thurgood Marshall, Langston Hughes, the list goes on and on. And so I'm very proud to be a part of that number as well. Oh, and your sister graduated from Howard? Good deal, Edward. Absolutely. I see everyone is speaking. Let me see. Yes. Everyone needs positive motivation. Definitely go to Pink Motivation, you guys. I got her a little mixed up with Positive Pusher, but you know what? That's still being in good company. Hello, Vern's Junk Closet. Thank you for being here. She is an amazing mod, amazing friend, and also an amazing YouTuber. She has 2 great channels. I encourage you all to scoop her up. She is very supportive, inspiring, and encouraging. Thank you for welcoming everyone in. All right, our first guest is Dawn. Hi, Dawn. How are you?
Hi, Sherry. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Everything is good. Everything is great. Thank you for having me. This is a different time for us, this homecoming season. Those people went to HBCUs know we have a season, not just a weekend. And so it's great to have the opportunity to share our experiences with other people.
Absolutely. So Dawn, what year did you start at Lincoln, and where did you come from? Where's your hometown?
Okay, so I was part of the incoming freshman class of 1985. I graduated in 1989, and I came from Queens, New York.
All right.
So I left the big city for a rural experience.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, Lincoln is a beautiful campus, but when everyone goes there, it is an experience, because it is a very rural, well, now it's building up a lot, but
it's very
when
different.
we went, it was very rural. And I entered Lincoln fall of 1987, and I graduated in 1991, and my hometown is Teaneck, New Jersey. I'm going to bring my next guest, and it is Kenny Sugar Bear Groves, and he is amazing. He's amazing.
Coach Sherry, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Good.
Great. So Kenny, tell us, please, what year did you come to Lincoln, and where are you hailing from?
I came to Lincoln in 1984. I was living in Brooklyn, New York, and I graduated in 1988.
Okay, awesome.
I was a political science major.
Okay, perfect. Before I bring in my fourth guest, because we're having this quad chat, I'm just going to look into the chat here. Let's see. Everyone is speaking and saying hello. And Jessica Hicks is asking, does Lincoln have partnerships with large companies to find jobs for Lincoln recent grads or alums? So that's a great question. And we're going to get to that question. I'm just going to bring up my next guest. Thanks for asking that, Jessica. Absolutely. Thank you. Jessica is also asking, I am doing great. Oh, she's saying she's doing great. Verns is from Queens too.
All right.
Mm-hmm. All right. Oh, and Danielle Jackson, my Sands, just into the building. She's saying hello to her Lincoln alumni.
You.
Hi.
You.
And now I'm bringing up our fourth and bringing up the rear. We have Dr. Will. How are you? Oh, I think you're on mute. You're on mute. Okay.
That's the last time I'm being on mute. Appreciate you, Sherry. Appreciate you having me on, and congratulations on your show. You're doing fabulous work. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Where are you from, and what year did you start at Lincoln?
Well, I'm also from Brooklyn, from the only neighborhood that matters, and that's Brownsville, Brooklyn. Brooklyn, New York.
Here we go.
And I came to Lincoln actually in the fall of '84. I was a transfer student. I went to school up in Massachusetts initially to play basketball. Mm-hmm. And then I transferred to Lincoln.
Know that.
Yep. I didn't either. Okay. Well, that's cool to know. Yeah. And that's a great transfer that you made. That was Lincoln's gift. Absolutely. Let's see. I'm just going to check the chat real quick. So Jessica is saying everyone is moving upstate because that's where Verns lives now, from Queens to upstate. She's saying hi, please thumbs up. Okay, perfect. So we come from different places, and trust me, Lincoln students come from all around the world. I had friends that were from Africa, Texas, California, Chicago, New York, Jersey, and of course, Philadelphia, Maryland, DC, Baltimore, Virginia. But it is a melting pot of different locations. And we had talked about that last night. We talk about diversity, and there's so much diversity even amongst ourselves. And Penny and Bill, would you like to elaborate on that conversation that we had around the diversity that we found, and also Dawn, absolutely, the diversity that we found as students on an HBCU campus?
Oh, absolutely. I think, the interesting thing that us being from big cities, especially New York, being a very diverse city, you still, when you came on Lincoln's campus, you got a truer sense of the diversity of the Black community. So, for example, all of us may have like Caribbean backgrounds or Southern Black backgrounds, but at Lincoln, you got a sense of the different regional diversity that goes on within our community. So, for prime example, I never really heard go-go music when I went until I went to Lincoln. You heard Chuck Brown's, I feel like Bustin' Loose on the radio, but that was Chuck's commercial hit. That wasn't, Chuck is a godfather of go-go music, but that was his little candy record, to get you to a little taste of it. And when we got down to Lincoln, we got with the DC flow and everybody's playing go-go, he's like, what is this? And it's like, yo, this is something. Or I'm always reminded of, one of my line brothers, because I'm a Sigma as well as Chuck is, and as Kenny is. And Kenny, you remember.
He fell off for a second.
Yeah, he fell off. As usual, he always falling off. But Chuck, who was from Pittsburgh, loved Too Short. Too Short is a rapper from Oakland. I never heard of Too Short, So, from us coming from New York, and the home, the birthplace of hip hop, we think we knew it all, and that was it. It ended, once you got on the Jersey Turnpike, you went, once you got past Jersey, nothing else mattered. But, nothing else mattered. But it's like, you're hearing Too Short, you're hearing all these different. So I'm just talking about from a music standpoint. But as you all know, music is very, very important to African American culture. And those are the other kinds of things that we learned at Lincoln, is like the richness of our culture, of the music, of the language, of all those things, what it really means. Like I learned what it really meant. I think it's the OJ song, "We Got a Message in Our Music." And so I was an English major, and I really came to understand that that's how we communicated as a people. That's how we communicate. That was our CNN through our music. That was our therapy. So just things like that, you really learn the richness of our African American culture going to an HBCU, which is something that you don't necessarily get at PWI.
Absolutely.
Culture going to an HBCU, which is something that you don't necessarily get at PWI.
I'm sorry, something happened with my computer.
Okay, not a problem.
I'm back.
Yes.
I ended with Dr. Levi's talking, and now I came back and he's still talking.
Okay.
You weren't gone too long. You weren't gone.
So I'd like to. I'm sorry.
Yes, Dawn. I wanted to put this out there, Dawn. Dawn is also the president of the National Alumni Association for Lincoln University. Yes. Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you. No, I just wanted to piggyback on some of what Will said.
That's fine. I answered the both. You're all right.
That's the other thing when you go to an HBCU, you leave years, people come back, they change their names, they grow up. Sometimes you don't even know their real name. You're sitting there going, oh, I don't want to call him by his nickname, but coming from New York City, and those of us who are from New York, we know we kind of think New York City is like the center of the universe. It should be the capital of the United States. And it's a mindset, right? And coming to Lincoln, which was really rural, passing cows and mushroom farms, all that kind of stuff. You get on campus and you meet all of these people from other states. And for me, it was the first time that I really experienced other cities. I'd been out of the state, but going home with friends that you met from different places and finding out, oh, there's a Chinatown in Baltimore. There's we thought we owned Chinatown.
Yeah.
And it really opened up not just the world, but the United States for me. And I got to see friends who grew up in rural towns and big cities. And it was just really an opportunity, to your point, to see the diversity within our own community. Like, we do spend a lot of time arguing about being viewed as monolithic. And on an HBCU, you have the opportunity to see a level of diversity that I don't think you get to experience anywhere else, because we become kind of one tribe, right? So for me, it was really a great opportunity leaving the state, which my mother said, you are going to go away to college. I think I was getting on her nerves from my senior year of high school. And, and just having the opportunity to have different experiences with different people just within the United States itself.
Right. And Kenny, what about you?
I like to say that, I'm part of the original group Voice to Men, because I was a boy when I went to Lincoln. I learned so much about myself, and to piggyback off Dawn, I got exposed to so many different types of people. By the time I graduated, I became, more enriched and more proud. I bought a shirt that said, "My HBCU saved my life," and I mean it. My HBCU, I got so much experiences. To be honest, I used to feel a way about it, but to be honest, I remember having a conversation with one of my friends. I knew about Malcolm X and I knew about Martin Luther King, but when I went to Lincoln, when I went to a HBCU, I remember we having a class. The first book I read, the autobiography of Malcolm X, and it really changed my world, because he was somebody and just showed me that he was coming from, from the grassroots to become this icon that he became. And my HBCU saved my life. I love that shirt.
Oh, I can imagine. I would love that. I encourage everyone to get your pen and paper ready. I know that this is a quad chat and you're like, y'all just having a conversation, y'all kicking back, but trust and believe there will be nuggets dropped during this live, and you capture them with your pen and paper. So I I don't want Jessica to think that I had forgotten about your question. We are definitely going to address that. But before we do, why Lincoln? And I'm going to start with this one. I came from Northern New Jersey, and I was looking at a lot of different colleges. I knew I wanted to go to an HBCU. Most of my female cousins that I looked up to went to HBCUs and had amazing experiences. And I always was in the corner, in the cut, watching them. They never knew I was watching them, but I was watching them like, wow, look how they move. Look what they're doing. And I really had my eyes set on Spelman. But when I realized how far Spelman was, and I knew my parents were going to be paying for me to go to school, with that being said, and them having a business, I also knew I would want to go back when I could throughout the school year to help them in the business. And so I knew if I went to Spelman, that trip back and forth would be costly, an extra cost, as well as the distance in terms of me getting back in a timely manner. And so Lincoln was 3 hours away from me, and it was the closest HBCU. But I also had a first cousin who I greatly admire, Donna Watson Haynes, class of 85. And I noticed when she went to Lincoln, she had a great time. I mean, she had amazing friends. She had really handsome boyfriends. And where are my daughters? They better not be listening. No. And also when she graduated, she got a great job, not just a job, but a career. So here she is, a 4-year degree, and she is working in New York and Manhattan doing her thing and just never missed a beat. And I was like, wow, that's great. And so that was one of the reasons why, a big reason why I selected to go to Lincoln, and it was the best decision ever. So let's start with Will. Why Lincoln?
Well, I wish I had a more inspiring and serious reason for that. But as I mentioned, I went to school up in Massachusetts initially to play ball. And the school wasn't really for me. It was a predominantly white school, very small. It was only 12 blacks was on campus, and 10 of us was on the basketball team. So I knew that wasn't, so coming out of Brooklyn, that wasn't going to work for me. So one of my brothers actually went to an HBCU, UMES, University of Maryland, Eastern Shore. And I met with some of his fraternity brothers, Sigmas at the time. And one of them was actually with Steve Board, who is a brother now. And he mentioned Lincoln. A couple of them mentioned different schools. Well, I went to the Ebony magazine and looked up the Black College Queen. And I said, if Lincoln is rolling like this, I looked at all the different schools they mentioned to me. And I said, if Lincoln is rolling like this, that's where I'm going. So I went down to Lincoln. That was my big motivation. And that at that point, I wanted to go to an HBCU. So, and then, yeah, like, as you said, Sherry, as well, it was close. It was close to, to New York. I did have a couple of friends that had gone to Cheney, but, I wasn't feeling Cheney, because, I don't think the Queen in Cheney was looking like the one in Lincoln.
So you're like me with the cute boyfriends that my cousin had. Oh my goodness. Dawn, why Lincoln?
I was gonna say they did know who to put on the brochure, didn't they?
Yeah.
So my story is a little similar but a little different. So for the New Yorkers, I went to Brooklyn Tech, and we were just really guided to certain schools. It was a very, and I was really, really interested by my senior year in Northwestern. Actually. It was kind of lining myself up, got excited about it, and my mother said, "Yeah, you can come home twice a year." And I was like, "Well." But my aunt went to Lincoln. She's class of 79. And she is probably one of the smartest people I know. She went to Lincoln when they had the 6-year medical program. So what that meant was when she got accepted into Lincoln, she got accepted into Hahnemann Medical School at the same time and finished her undergraduate and medical degree in 6 years.
Wow.
And she turned down the Sophie Davis medical program in New York. She turned down Brown. And so it was never a question of, was the school good enough, right? I mean, if she went there, her name is Dawn, my name is Dawn, there's a whole lot of, I was pre-med, chemistry pre-med. So, but a couple of things really pushed it over the edge for me. One was they had an interest meeting, Westbury. I remember Westbury, New York, at one of the hotels. It was like a Holiday Inn, and Mr. Barber was there. I remember the people. The homecoming queen was there. And I was really impressed with, and I don't remember her name, but she talked about her study abroad. And I just remember sitting there, wow. When I go to, and I said to my grandmother who's with me, I said, well, if I can be homecoming queen at Northwestern. I remember writing her note, and she said, you stand a better chance of being a homecoming queen at Lincoln.
Wow.
And so between that experience and just kind of my aunt's endorsement as being a graduate, obviously, and that push, I didn't really understand the concept of an HBCU. I knew it was like college, but the way we have a conversation about it now, which is really pretty amazing, I don't remember those conversations. You picked colleges. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go to an HBCU. But I will say it was the best decision of my life.
Absolutely. Yeah. Kenny, why Lincoln?
Well, I hear all the stories and everybody sounds good. I'll tell you, I'm going to be honest for a minute.
What?
I had no idea what I wanted to do.
Okay.
When I was going to school, I thought actually originally I wanted to be in the Marines. And why I wanted to be in the Marines? Because I thought that the uniform looked nice, and I thought that, like Will, I would get a lot of girls. So I was like, okay, because I like to call myself a 50-50 kid. 50% of me was thinking about outside, and 50% of me was wanting to make my parents proud, right? And so, my guidance counselor at the time, he never really talked about anything, about doing anything. So I was like, I knew that my parents said, you had to do something with your life. I wasn't thinking about college. And so I said, okay, maybe the Marines. And all the friends I was hanging out with, they weren't really going into school like that, except for one friend I had at the time, Carlton. All right. That was the only friend that I know was doing a little something. So my mother, seeing that I was a 50-50 kid, she had a mentor, as I say, and he was talking to me. He talked to me about schools, and he was saying, what about, have you ever thought about what do you want to do with your life? So I told him about the Marine thing, thinking I'm saying something impressive, and then he said, well, you ever thought about going away to college? I said, well, I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I could get in, right? And so he said, well, why don't you try to apply for college? I said, well, I don't think I want to apply for them colleges. He said, why, you scared? I said, so he said the right thing that would get me, because I'm like scared. And so I said, yeah, I'll apply for college. So I applied for Howard. I applied for Oswego. I applied for Morgan. I applied for Newport, and I applied for Lincoln. So Howard came in, didn't accept me. So now I'm like, in my mind, I'm saying, you see, that's why I didn't want to do this stuff. And then Oswego came in. They didn't, they was like on the fence. Lincoln came in and accepted me. So I'm saying to myself, you better go with Lincoln because somebody accepted you, right? And then I didn't hear from Morgan yet, but Morgan later accepted me. But I ended up going to Lincoln, and I remember getting in the car. It was me, my mom, and my father, and we driving up to Lincoln, and I'm seeing all these buggies. I'm seeing the Amish people. I'm seeing the cows and the horses, and in my mind, I'm saying, where the hell are they taking me? Where am I going? Why did I agree to this? You know what I mean? I'm like, there's no corner store. There's nowhere to go get something to eat. And let me tell you something. Lincoln University was the best decision that I ever made in my life. Lincoln University, I went there and I enjoyed myself. And Lincoln, and I didn't know about Lincoln. I didn't know much about HBCUs. But then, as the rest of my colleagues said, I just got enamored and I just learned a whole lot. I met a lot of people from different places. Around the time when I went to Lincoln, I met African students that were from Africa, from South Africa, and they were telling me about apartheid, and they were going through it, and they were explaining to me what they're going through. And the young me, I'm listening to them, and of course you're going to say what you would have, should have, could have did, what you would. If that was me, I wouldn't have, But then slowly but surely, because of resilience and the things I learned, I met so many different people. I learned so much about myself.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Woo! All of those reasons are reasons that resonate with so many students that have attended Lincoln and that are at Lincoln. And there are so many legacies at Lincoln. I know at one time as a graduate, if your child wanted to go to Lincoln, at first it was 50% off
Yes.
tuition.
Right.
But they changed it. But I feel like we are basically the only HBCU that gives a discount to alumni, children of alumni, to attend the school, which really has upped our legacy. Because Penny, you have a child at Lincoln, don't you?
Yes. My son is a junior at Lincoln.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I feel like even with some of our children that maybe didn't go to Lincoln, they know and they feel the love that we have for the school, being that HBCU, home away from home. And many of them have gone on to other HBCUs.
Right.
You know, it's all love. It's all love. I'm just going to go into the chat real quick and see who else entered the building. Ooh, it's so many people. This is why I need a producer. I do. I said that the other night. I do. Let's see. Thank you so much, Verns, for greeting everyone. She is an amazing moderator. Her YouTube channel is the bomb, I'm trying to tell you. So let's see. While I'm looking in the chat, Dawn, since you are the president of the Alumni Association, can you address Jessica's question from before? I just don't want to get too far down.
So the answer is yes.
Okay. Let me read the question again. So she says, does Lincoln have partnerships with large companies to find jobs for Lincoln recent grads or alum?
Yes, the answer is yes. And I forgot what the actual statistic was, but I want to say that it was pretty high. We showed in the upwards of 80% of students graduating with jobs. We have been ranked for upward social mobility as an institution. So that means taking people who may come from impoverished or lower socioeconomic situations to putting them in higher socioeconomic. So we do a lot of work, and we're actually at the association working on an initiative to help streamline internships and jobs through the Office of Alumni Relations and Internship Services so that we can connect our students through jobs that alumni may have access to.
Okay, great. And whether your student goes to Lincoln University or any other university or college in this country, they need to connect. No, that's Penny.
Hey, you messing up the show, Sugar Bear. Mute yourself, man.
No, I'm not doing I'm not doing anything.
You gotta mute when you're not talking. Mute, man.
Me?
Back on campus.
If you have a student, or if you are a student, I highly recommend that you connect with your career services.
Yes.
When you first get on campus. If you have a resume, submit it to them, have them recrafted to be accommodating for them to be able to send it out. If you don't have a resume, sit down with a counselor so that they can craft one up for you. Do that day one, because you want to stay ready. When opportunities come, you just never know what companies might say. We have a internship for Christmas break. You know, there's some that are like that. You want to be in position, and you want to have your name recognized by the counselor so that you could be one of those that they recommend. That is a really great partnership to have and important.
And Sherry, if I could add, one of your sorors, Janice Bolden, was instrumental in putting together a partnership with the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, where they do internships. So there are different programs like that, and also with the nursing program where they have relationships if you want to go on to medical school. So Lincoln, and when we were on the yard, you all will probably remember, we had that laser program. Lincoln had a long program with NASA for several years. I don't know, we're a few years removed, so I'm not sure if that program is still going on. And in its history, I learned recently, Lincoln actually, and because Kenny was talking about the African student, one of the reasons why Lincoln always had a connection with Africa for obvious reasons, African Americans, but Lincoln used to be a training center for people going into the Peace Corps.
Yeah.
So that was for several years. A lot of people were going to Lincoln for that program. So with Dr. Allen's vision, hopefully a lot of those programs that exist will be expanded as well.
Absolutely. And my major at Lincoln was sociology / criminal justice with a minor in business. And my senior year, I did an internship at the public defender's office in Westchester County as an investigator. And it was a great experience. I did it for an entire semester. It was a wonderful experience. So Vern's Junk Closet is saying to you, Will, hush.
Yeah, she don't know what she talking about. Bed-Stuy don't even look like Bed-Stuy no more. Brownsville still look like Brownsville.
Right?
Never ran, never will. Vern.
It still won't, though. It still won't.
Yes.
Yeah,
I see that House of X Entertainment Inc. is in the building. Janelle Tipton is in the building. That's my homegirl. High school and Lincoln.
Janelle.
I just was talking to her earlier too. Hey, Janelle. One over 50 and Fantabulous is an amazing YouTuber as well, and she is so supportive. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being one of my mods. She's saying, please hit the button for liking this video. And yes, thank you for being a blessing. Absolutely. Thank you. You're welcome. Back at you. I see Vern's is saying hello to everyone. Over 50. Thank you for saying hello to everyone over 50 and Fantabulous. Let's see. Danielle is saying that she grew up in a predominantly white area, and Lincoln opened her eyes to show how wonderful we are. Yes, a lot of people, that's their experience, whether they go to Lincoln or any HBCU. And I'm more partial to Lincoln because it is a smaller HBCU. So if it's you that we're talking to or your student, and you feel like you want them to have that HBCU experience, but it might be overwhelming, I'm gonna tell you, there's nothing overwhelming about Lincoln. It is a close-knit community for many reasons. It's a small campus. It's a walking campus. And we have just a little over 2,000 student population. So you get to know everyone. I'm telling you, as an alumni, there's no stranger, no matter what year someone may have graduated from Lincoln, as well as if they are students at Lincoln. There are no strangers. So it is a wonderful place to go. It's a safe place. And I know that my experience, my parents felt very safe and comforted knowing that I was there. You know, I'm not saying it's perfect. There's no perfect place, but it is as great as you can make it. And there's so much that goes into it. I remember we had monthly convocations that we had? And we would have guest speakers from all over the world to come, and it was mandatory.
We got some amazing people.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was
I've ever heard of Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, right?
Say that again?
Yes.
Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, he used to come every year.
What's his name?
Yolanda King.
Yolanda King.
Yes.
Sonia Sanchez walking across campus.
Yes. Let's see. So while I'm looking at the stream again, if you guys can list some of the notable graduates, in addition to ourselves, and all the people in our circles, what are some of the other notable graduates of Lincoln? Or not even just graduates, attendees even, because, you know, life happens. Some people, they start, some people come back, some people just whatever, you know, roadblocks come in, whatever. But there's been so many amazing people to come through the gates of Lincoln University. So if you guys can start naming some.
I give you one. I recently found out that Cab Calloway went to Lincoln, and he left to pursue his music career. But he was at Lincoln for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thurgood Marshall graduated from Lincoln. Langston Hughes, the famous poet, he graduated from Lincoln.
Eric and John Huggins met at Lincoln. They started they ran the Black Panther Party in California. That's where they met, and then they left to go. And so we've been part of, I think, every aspect of American history.
Yeah.
Gil Scott Heron and Brian Jackson, they met at Lincoln and wrote a lot of the songs that became their first album. That was written at Lincoln.
Horace Mann Bond, who was the first Black president.
Yes.
But
That's
he's the father.
Julian Bond's
father.
That's
But
right.
he did a lot of work in sociology on the African American experience, and it said that a lot of the research it actually said a lot of the work done in support work for Thurgood Marshall's Brown versus Board of Education were with his fellow graduates. So,
yeah.
Of course, we like to tout Kwame Nkrumah and Nnamdi Azikiwe, who are first presidents of Ghana. Nkrumah and Azikiwe is Nigeria.
Throw it in.
Well, they're men of Sigma. And we're actually in the process of raising $100,000 endowment to honor them with an endowment that will help students to study abroad in Africa. So we're doing that as alumni right now in the midst of that.
So awesome. I see we have Mark J in the building, and he is saying LU being so small and only having approximately 1,200 students, but yet many from various cities and towns from Cali to Texas to Midwest cities, as well as the East Coast, made the experiences very unique.
It did.
Yeah.
So true.
Yes, it did.
So true.
It did. Heck, some of us, we go to weddings or family reunions and we have that many. That's why it's like a family reunion. I remember when, let me take this down so we can see Kenny. I remember when one day I just kind of looked around and realized I'm going to class with peers that look like me.
Yes.
And it was the most amazing feeling when you realize that, absolutely, of course, but to really take it all in, to be present and receiving that and just like really feeling what that's like was amazing. I loved it.
I think that's
Lincoln was very supportive. It's a very nurturing and supportive environment.
Absolutely. And Edward Smart is saying attending college university will definitely broaden your horizons.
Yes.
It absolutely will. College is not for everyone, and that's fine too. But if you are of the mindset to say, you know what, I want to go to college. I want to see what this is all about. It definitely opens you up to things you would have never thought of. I mean, we had philosophy classes. We had intro to art.
Yes.
We went to music. Barnes Museum. It's the Barnes? I know it's the
Foundation. Yeah.
Foundation.
Yes.
To understand how to critique different things in a professional and communicate and do it well, do it professionally. You learn that when you're in class, and there's no judgment. It's all about grooming and making you better. There's no one laughing at you. Everyone's there for the same purpose. And if they're not, they know how to cancel themselves out. It's like I tell people, my apprentices, you don't get fired, you fire yourself. So you don't get kicked out of school, you drop out on your own. Like you do that to yourself. So it's about the choices that you make. And that's with anything. That's with working or with going to school. Or even relationships. You break up because you broke up. Let's see. I see Living for Jesus is in the building. Thank you and welcome to tonight's live. I see that. I hear the feedback. Yeah, we know who that is, Verns. It's Kenny.
I mean, why y'all blaming me? I don't got nothing going on.
And Jessica Hicks is saying, okay, great. I'm a recruiter at Nestle, but I am not sure if we've worked with Lincoln before. That's good to hear and so important for students to gain internships and first-time jobs out of school. So that's great to know, Jessica. And as a recruiter, if you have the flexibility to reach out to schools on your own just to see, Dawn, who would she have to reach out to? And do you have that contact?
Ralph Simpson is the Director of Career Services, and Crystal Faison is the Director of Internship Services. But you can get from my information. I could put it in chat. Like I said, we're trying to streamline some of those relationships. So I'd be more than happy to make the connection so that we're sure that it happens.
Okay. You said Ralph Simpson, though, is Director of Career Services?
Yes.
Okay. So I just typed his name in there. But then do you have a business line that she can reach you at?
She can reach me on my at my email address.
Okay.
Yeah, look, I'll type in.
Is it the D underscore?
That's right. It's AALUPA president.
Okay. AALUP?
PA president.
Okay.
At gmail.com.
Okay. All right. This is why you guys have to have your pen and paper ready. You just never know. We have to have our pen and paper ready too, though, don't we?
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, that's awesome. I'd love for them to make that connection.
Absolutely. Yes, Belize, thank you for being in the building. Always so great to see you. And she's saying good evening to all of us. Good evening to you. I'm going closer like this because I don't have my contacts in and I can't see. So let's see. Living for Jesus is saying too soon. My babies are 10 and 6. College is a long way off, but I'm trying to tell you, it is not that long off.
It goes fast.
I have 3 in college right now. And I remember when they were in kindergarten, 2nd and 4th grade, literally. So, you know, exposing them now is important. The earlier you can expose them, whether it's to college, exposing them to careers, exposing them to travel, you know, expose them as much as possible and have them explore and look around. I used to take my kids to colleges random. We're driving, we're at AAU tournaments, we're, you know, visiting family, and there's a campus nearby. We're going and we're just exploring. So it's never, and you will be shocked that even at that age, 10 and 6, how much they will retain.
You also want to start saving for college. I mean, there are plans, 520, a 529 plan. You know, most states have those. I actually wrote a book with my brother for the Tom Joyner Foundation. You should look it up. Tom Joyner presents How to Prepare for College.
Okay,
And
I'm gonna write that in the thing. Tom
Joyner presents How to Prepare for College. It's on should be on Amazon, and we talk about different strategies, like the things that we learned that we didn't know to do. And one of those things is establishing a 529 plan, where you put money away every month and let it build. And you know, even if your child at some point decides not to go to college, the plan can still be used for, you know, it could be cashed in or used as like a, you know, mutual fund. So
you can transfer it over to another person also.
That's exactly. So it's not like it's money being lost if the child decides not to go. So
I love it. And also you can start even as young as 6, earlier than 6, to start looking at scholarships. There's all different types of scholarships out there. It could be a craft scholarship. It could be a writing scholarship. It could be a talent scholarship. You know, it's so many different things, and you could start accumulating that money. So just like Bill is saying, and, you know, we're fluctuating between Will and Bill, and that's fine. But,
yeah, I mean, just don't call me dummy.
Never that, not doctor with the PhD, never that. But just like what Bill is saying, you know, you can start putting money away monthly, but if they're getting scholarships on a monthly basis, that's less that you have to take out of your own pocket. You use that scholarship money to put into their account.
And most 529s have something where you can allow people to make one-time gift or recurring gifts. So I know my son, he was the first grandchild on both sides, and Christmas was like living in FAO Schwartz because he got so many gifts. And, you know, you can only play with so many at one time. So people giving money towards his 529 over time, that builds up, and that's more lasting and impactful than the toy at the time. So those are family as well to help support.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's something you might want to consider. If you look around before a birthday or before a holiday and you notice your child has an excess of clothes or toys or whatever, encourage your family members to give money. You know, I know back in the day it was bonds. Giving money and help that be part of the building process. And trust me, over the course of years, it adds up. Let's see. Danielle is saying it goes by quickly. And I understand living for Jesus, especially now with all the homeschooling that's going around and so much uncertainty. You know, just trying to get them out of elementary school at this point can be a struggle. But just, you know, still have a plan, even though you might be going through something right now, you still want to have a plan because the time really does go by so
fast. It does.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Danielle is saying treasure it because college will be soon. Yes. Let's see. Everyone is saying hello. I just want to make sure I don't miss anyone as they walk in the building. Brown Girl Bella is in the building. Welcome. Thank you for being here. She is very supportive of other YouTubers. And I want to say she lives in Brooklyn too. Yeah, I think she's from Brooklyn. Absolutely. Let's see.
That's another one from Brownsville. She's from Brownsville.
Nah, she's from Flatbush. East Flatbush.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yes.
Even from the same city, I feel left out.
Well, I feel left out. No one here is from Jersey. I see. Oh, Michelle is in the building. My sins, I didn't see her in here. So I have two of my line sisters in here. ZQ is in the building. Thank you for your love and your support. Yes. Let's see. Okay, I think I'm caught up. All right. It takes a while. That's why I need a producer.
That's all right. That's all right. That's what homecoming's family does to you.
Yeah, it does. Oh my goodness. Danielle popped up in my live the other day and I just started to like low-key cry. You know, it's so good to see her, even though I don't see her, but just even seeing the name, it just, you know, brings those emotions. Like seeing you guys, talking to you guys just filled me, just gave me so much life last night. And then to see you today is just amazing. And I love the information that you are all sharing. And I see that we have 9 in the building, and I'm sure there's others out there, but in the building I see, if you can jot down in the chat, what HBCU did you attend? Did you want to attend? Or did a family member attend? A parent, a sibling, an aunt, uncle, cousin? What is the HBCU that you are representing? We are representing Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, the first HBCU. And I have with me Dawn, who is the National Alumni Association president. And I have Sugar Bear, well, Kenny.
Sugar Bear.
And I have Will in the building, and they are alumni, and they are sharing their experiences, the why Lincoln. And now let's talk about the how Lincoln. How did Lincoln form you? I know Kenny said he has, and I'm trying to tell you, it was wonderful for me. I didn't realize you graduated in 88. So that only means that I had you for a year on a day-to-day basis. You know, I was around you. Your aura was right up in it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's an honor. It feels like it's been so much longer than that because you have a lot of really great analogies, and you have always, to me, been very thoughtful and higher level thinking.
Thank you.
You know, Will is deep. I mean, I just dropped a book in the link that he wrote. So, you know, and Dawn is very upper level thinking, and she's always thinking about how to improve things. And so these are the types of students that I was surrounded with by every single day going to Lincoln. Like, what? That's what I'm talking about. I didn't have to go and find pockets of people like me. I walked out my room and they were right there. So, you know, this is why HBCUs are such a breeding ground for greatness. So Kenny, how did Lincoln groom you? You said it took you from boys to men. You the original. You were 50.
Yes. I think that Lincoln changed my whole perspective on how I thought. I remember when I first got to Lincoln and I was walking on campus and somebody said hi to me. They smiled at me, right? And so being from Brooklyn, you know, you kind of screw your face up. Like, why is he looking at me? Why is he smiling at me? And so you make the mean face. But after a while, I just got so giddy and happy and how you doing or whatever. But I noticed I had to change my tone when I got back home. When I was coming home for the week, I had to change my tone. So Lincoln changed, you know, and I love my experience because I got a chance at Lincoln to relax, to kind of take a lot of woo-saw moments and just kind of enjoy the experience. And it was an experience.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the reasons why we, you know, no matter what, we look on the calendar and find out when homecoming is, and we make sure that we're going to be at homecoming if we can get there every year. We mark it off to see if we can be there.
Absolutely. And Will, how did Lincoln change you? How did it shape you?
Well, I mean, it was at Lincoln where I discovered my calling, and my writing ability. I mean, coming out of Brooklyn and coming out of Brownsville, oftentimes you're kind of conditioned that athletics is sort of the only way out, so to speak. And so I was always a student who was interested in a lot of different things, but I wasn't sure what I was supposed to be doing or what I was going to study. And it was at Lincoln that I discovered that. I mean, I was actually in a class, and I love telling this story because I was in a class with, that was actually the class that put together the Lincolnian, the student newspaper. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Gavin, you all may remember Dr. Joanne Gavin. She left after, she would have left before you guys got there. She's now at James Madison, but she was a very charismatic professor. Her and her husband were on the campus, and they were very nurturing. And they are now at James Madison in Virginia now. And she has a writing program down there, so she's inspiring a lot of students. But the thing is Dr. Gavin was fine, still is, And I'm sitting in the class, looking at her like, and one day she just looked at me and shook her head and said, "You know what? I'm gonna make you the editor of the Lincoln." And I was like, "Well, all right, whatever you say, sound good to me. This teach, And what happened was at that time we had on campus what was called slave auctions. Do you all remember that at all?
Yeah.
I don't.
A little bit. See, Kenny remembers that because the moral to the story is that they stopped. And it stopped in part because the slave auction was it's sort of like you were modeling. It was like it's a fundraiser.
They didn't call it slave auction, though.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
What they call
that? I mean, I remember they called it auction. They didn't call it slave auction, though.
No. Thank you, Jerry. That's right.
Okay, so if you got an auction, and if you bidding on somebody coming down the runway for the purpose of coming in your room and cleaning up your room and hanging out for you a week, what is that?
Yeah, but at 19 years old, you're not thinking like that.
So therefore, that's what my piece was about. Even though at 19 years old, we should be thinking about this is an HBCU and we should not be making light of this and so forth. And to make a long story short, is that at first a lot of people thought a professor wrote it, somebody else wrote it. They didn't know a student wrote it. And eventually the auction stopped. The moral is that I learned coming from a violent neighborhood like Brownsville, where you settle disputes by fighting and so forth. I learned that the power of the pen was something that was real. And that you can change people's attitudes and minds through thought, through dialogue. And that turned into a 20+ year journalism career, so it was really at Lincoln is where I found, my calling and what I was supposed to do in life. So
I love it. Dawn, what about you? How did Lincoln?
I didn't participate in the slave auctions.
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Dawn.
That's what they were.
I think so. When I came to Lincoln, I would say I had a strong academic self-esteem, and Lincoln was very humbling for me. It allowed me to, and not that I didn't know, but it allowed me to kind of go in this environment and see that, and you talked about lasers. I was a chemistry major, but I wasn't a laser student. So I'm taking classes with these laser students and these like heavy hitters academically in the sciences. And, here I am, a STEM major. And I remember my freshman year just looking at many of them being like really impressed. And I don't think I'd ever been that impressed with people in my age group like that before in my life. And not only were they academically sound, but, they were leaders and they were active. So at Lincoln, I got to hone my leadership skills. I ended up being senior class president, but I was always involved in, the student body organization. I was part of the concert choir, and I'm an okay singer. But back then, now they're great, but back then you could kind of get in under the, We used to tour. It was like really, we went to the Bahamas one year. Like it was really pretty amazing. There was just so much exposure and so much opportunity. I used to always tell people when they would say, why Black college? I would say, because we're trying to grow. And I just feel like in other environments, because of the boundaries you have sometimes by race and things of that sort, that you only get to grow up. But at a Black college, we got to grow out. So you got to like really feel different parts of who you are and discover them and play around in a safe and nurturing environment. Now, I love my Lincoln folk. They could be really hard on you. We've been watching Bill and Kenny go back and forth. And I always said you had to have thick skin to go there. But it was always with love. It was always with love. And
Love is
at homecoming, I love it because as soon as we hit the yard, it's like we're back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and for me, I feel Lincoln developed me into a leader. It made me ultra confident. You know, right after I graduated, well, before I graduated, while I was there, you know, I pledged Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Theta Omega Chapter, and I have 18 line sisters, and they all have powerful voices. So it's almost like being amongst sisters, and you're just trying to find your way. But I was also the president of Thurgood Marshall Law Society because my path was to go to law school. I actually got in, but I deferred it because I felt like I needed more exposure. So after graduating, I went and worked at an environmental law firm on Wall Street, and I felt like I belonged. Like I've never been in a place where I felt less than. And I feel like Lincoln developed my posture. That's how I grew. It developed my confidence where I feel like, yeah, I belong here, no matter where I'm at, no matter who else is there, whether they look like me or not. And I looked around, and I always worked with people of all races that were predominantly white. And then the ones that looked like us, Black, African Americans, or from wherever other country they may have been from, they may have gone to schools like a Chapel Hill or Duke or a Harvard, wherever, but they never felt comfortable. Right. And I never could understand why. Like, your credentials is crazy, you know, but they weren't groomed. And so Lincoln groomed us, I feel, to know who we are, because when you know who you are, you know that
you can compete.
And no one can ever take that away. That's like a skill. Skill that you acquire, no one can ever take that away. So you have that confidence when you're doing that particular thing. And that's how it is with life. Lincoln prepares us for life. It's something that no one could ever take from us. So when we're going through life, we're confident, we're comfortable. It is what it is. And that's what HBCUs do. I'm trying to tell you. And I don't know if you worked with people that went to PWIs as well as HBCUs, but I see that difference. I see that confidence difference. Not saying that you can't be confident if you go to a PWI. Not saying that at all. And not saying that you're going to have a lot of confidence just because you went to an HBCU.
Right.
But I'm just saying 9 times out of 10, that's what I've seen.
It's funny you said it because I'll tell you a story. I was working. I had a colleague. We worked in the same office. So one year I got a call because I used to do parties, old school parties at Lincoln. And I got a call from one of my colleagues, and they were talking about, we're making arrangements of what we're going to do and how the setup is and everything is all right. So when I got off the phone, my colleague was making fun of me. He's like, who is that, one of your Lincoln people again? And so I was like, yeah, it's my Lincoln people. So I went back to work, and I was doing my work. And then she said, I'm just messing with you, Groves. And so as we're doing work, then she said, let me tell you a story. So she wanted to tell me the story. So she said, when she was younger, when she was picking out schools, her mother came to her, and her mother said, listen, I'm not sending you to no all-Black school because that's not what the world is. So so you got to go to a diverse school. I'm not sending you, right? So she said that she ended up going to a school. She ended up going to Rutgers, right? She's a Delta like yourself. And so she said, but what my mother didn't understand is that when you go in the cafeteria at Rutgers at the time when she went, she said the Black kids were on one side of the cafeteria and the white kids were on the other side. And so whatever her mother thought that she wanted her to get, she didn't get. And she would also often tell me she wished she went to an HBCU. She told me that. So when I listened to you say that, Sherry, I was like, you know what? Exactly. That made me think about the conversation that we had.
Absolutely.
I like that. I got to steal that. You made my posture, develop my posture. I'm going to steal that. Can I borrow that?
I like that.
Yeah.
Can I borrow that long term? Develop my
I like
posture.
that too. Yeah.
I always notice a person's posture. And, your posture is not that you standing so upright or whatever. It's just the way you carry yourself, the way you move, the strength of it, that it's solid. Let's see. I see also, not only is my sans Danielle Jackson in the building, but Michelle Jones is, and Hawaiian Epps, my sans.
Hey, Hawaiian.
Let's see. Brown Girl Bella is saying, we're going back to the Brooklyn piece. So she's saying
that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Can I get some love from Queens? Anybody? I'll take any part of Queens.
Well, I say Teaneck is represented, so at least I have Teaneck, New Jersey, with Janelle in the building. So thank you, Janelle, for representing. Although she's a Harlem girl too, but
she will tell you she's from Harlem. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Brown Girl Bella, she's in good company with that. But her family's from Brownsville. Okay. I see. Let me see. Sin Child of the King is in the building. Hello.
That's my daughter. That's my daughter.
Oh, so now you know. Now you know. You know what I'm saying? The king. King.
That's you. Or that's definitely God, I know for sure. Wow. Cool.
Very cool.
So we're talking about the schools, the HBCU schools that you attended, that someone in your circle, your family member, your child attends. And I see Vern's Junk Closet is saying that she wanted to attend Hillman. Now,
Lincoln is close.
Somebody told me that Hillman was named after Lincoln. They couldn't say Lincoln, but somebody told me that Hillman had a distinction from Lincoln.
See, so Hillman, I believe Hillman was crafted after Lincoln because Bill Cosby was from Philadelphia. He went to Temple. He definitely was familiar with Lincoln. Enough with Lincoln that many of you probably don't remember or recognize that the school that Vanessa went to was Lincoln University in Pennsylvania.
That's right.
Very much. So, but who was I talking to about? I think it was you, Dawn. Trust and believe. And I have to put this out there.
I knew she's going to bring it up. Go ahead.
Trust and believe. But let me not go there.
You guys mentioned, I know what you're going to say, so I'm going to say, you guys mentioned the Amish when we went there, but something I learned after I graduated was about Hensonville, which is the land that Lincoln was built on. It was free blacks. It was safe haven for slaves. We're 15 minutes from the Maryland border. The Underground Railroad ran through there. The church was the church. And recently, if you watch We Walk with Harriet, the women who walked from Eastern Shore, Maryland, they ended in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. And we know Kennett Square because at the time, that's the only place you could go to McDonald's. But we sat on such rich land. And I think that's the thing I love most about it. Even in this role as the president of the National Alumni Association, I've learned more about Lincoln. And I thought I knew everything. But our history is so rich. It can feel like a series of books. If you remember the Encyclopedia Britannica from back in the day, we could just have those for Lincoln University. I mean, we named some of our alum, but we have alumni who have still blazing trails and they're the first in their crafts. We all know Anthony Stepney because he was on campus with us and he's the first master professional golfer. I'm gonna mess it up because I don't do golf, but I'm African-American. Sheila Olver, the lieutenant governor of New Jersey. I can't go anywhere without being touched by somebody who was not touched by Lincoln directly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Lillian Fishburne, Rear Admiral. Lillian Fishburne.
Roscoe Lee Brown, the actor.
Brown, which probably played a large role in Lincoln being picked for the Cosby Show because he was a regular on some of the Cosby type series.
So
and that's the thing, that you say, Dawn, is that we have to do a better job of telling our own story.
Oh yeah,
and that's one of the things that I think Sherry, just you having us on your show and what you're doing.
Yes.
Is key. And Sean and Dawn is and part of her legacy is actually developing a newsletter, alumni newsletter that we're working on for that very reason, to do a better job of telling our own story, as well as that's an initiative that Dr. Allen has. You got to tell the Lincoln story. And we have to take responsibility for falling short, because I've taught at Hampton, I've been at, down at A&T, these other schools, they alums, they have problems. They talk about things they didn't like as well, but they all do a better job of saying how great Hampton is or how great Howard is, whether it's 100% true or not. And we have to do a better job of the same, of saying, if your own alumni are not saying what's going on at the school and why it's a great place, how can you expect somebody else to say it? So we're doing that better job, and we're taking that initiative. And I think that's
we are. And Bill actually is the one who stepped up about the newsletter, and I appreciate that, because we do need to own our narrative. Lincoln particularly, because that's our love, but HBCUs in general, we're getting a lot of attention and love nationally now because of Kamala Harris, and people are looking at us. But we want to be more than just a deliverable. Who do I give a check to? We want investments in our students. My company recently just gave $4 million to A&T. And that was all based off of the George Floyd incident, and the CEO saying, okay, we need to do something real. And that $4 million wasn't just a donation. It was an investment in the students, full rides for engineers, internships. And Scott, and the first thing I said was, and I said to HR, well, wait a minute. You ever hear of Lincoln University? They said, but what's funny? She said, okay, let's do it. So we're working on trying to start getting internships down here in the field from Lincoln. And that's the beauty of HBCU graduates, man. We will connect. We will pick up the phone and call each other up. You say, hey, I have a student who needs a job, and it doesn't matter where they went to school. You just call my friend Bill, call my friend Kenny, call Sherry. We don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Just what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we do. So we just have to make sure that story is the resounding story. Absolutely. So that people are not surprised, but it becomes the normal.
And that's why I'm glad the board and the president, they got that recent crisis under control concerning our president and whether to retain her or not, because that was becoming a real impediment to people wondering, what is going on? You talking about dropping your president in the middle of a pandemic?
Yeah.
People are not questioning so much the president, they're questioning the wisdom of the board. And it's like, if what Dawn is talking about, people looking at giving money, it's like, I'm not going to give money to a board that's unstable. And what are you alumni doing? Your alumni are not giving. Why should I give? So we've got some momentum going. A lot of it has to do with Dawn's leadership, others, alumni who stepped up and created petitions and made noise and went to protest. And the board is turning around and done the right thing. And we got a good president that is trying to do the right thing. So we need to help her do the right thing and help them all do the right thing. And be
so to all the Lincoln folk, the goal this year is $1.7 million from alumni.
That's right.
It's going to plug that in right now. Sign up for your recurring gift.
Because ultimately, whatever school you go to, that's your home away from home. And as you get older and your parents may retire, may pass on, and your regular home that you grew up in will not be the same. However, your campus will. And so that's why, during crises, during challenging times, you'll find that alumni will rally together and really try. But you know what? We have to stop waiting until there is a crisis and just rally together anyway. And, that's why it's important to love where you go. Love where you go. Not everyone does, and there's a lot of places to check out. You just never know. Just don't try to force a square into a round circle.
Right.
Like my daughter, I have a daughter at A&T. I have a daughter at Spelman. My son went to UNCC, and he's graduating this semester. But those schools were perfect for them. I would have loved for one of them to go to Lincoln and be a legacy, but it wasn't the right fit for them. And that's fine. And as a parent, you have to be okay with that. Just make sure they go where it's good for them. And I see brown girl Bella was saying that she wanted to attend Cheney. But ended up at LIU in Brooklyn, and on the LIU campus in Brooklyn.
I know LIU.
So yeah, Cheney is definitely one of our rivals. I know back in the day, Howard was one of our rivals, and anyone else? Maybe?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much Howard, because they used to have. I mean, this was back in the day, but the Howard Lincoln football game used to be the entertainment spectacle of Black America back in the day, you know. And but
because some of you may not know, Lincoln University used to be all male, and then was it in the 60s because of the Vietnam War, or when did it?
Yeah, I think the late 50s is when they allowed, and then in the 60s is when they allowed women on campus, and they stayed at Dr. Farrell's house. What a lot of people don't know is Lincoln is technically the brother school to Spelman, not Morehouse. And
Brown Bella's son goes to Morehouse.
Yeah, Spelman is technically the sister school to Lincoln University, not Morehouse. So that's it. So when I was going back to work, and I would tell people I went to Lincoln, a lot of my physicians and lawyers, a lot of people, they would say, "Oh, my doctor's a Lincoln man," and these were like House grads, and so there was definitely something there with Morehouse and Lincoln, because I used to get it a lot.
Yeah,
when I was out and about, and I would talk about,
my the judge in my hometown, he went to Lincoln also. Yeah, when you see the generation after or before us, many of them are doctors, lawyers, judges. They, that went to
now,
and even now still.
Our peers, we have lots of doctors. We have PhDs out of the wazoo.
Yeah.
A lot of PhDs. That was one of the things, especially with the liberal arts education. I think that's important people know too. Lincoln is a liberal arts university. It was founded on classical education. That is something that I know that Dr. Allen is really trying to drive home. Critical thinking, right? So if you're a critical thinker, it doesn't matter what your discipline is.
Right.
Because you're going to become the change maker. And Lincoln, I like to say, we create change makers. We created people. We have graduates who have changed the world.
Right. And Nkrumah and Ezekwe,
Yeah, them too, yes.
the founders, the grandfathers of Pan-Africanism.
Absolutely. But we have, even within our peer circles, and you and I were talking about Lynette.
Yeah, my wife is there.
And I've just been so impressed with her work with period poverty, she awakened me. I've always thought about it as a third world issue and forgot, oh my goodness, yeah, of course this is something that occurred. So you create leaders. And my sister teases me, and she always say, every time I'm trying to plan something, well, who are your celebrities? And I'm like, well, Langston. Well, I don't think we can get them to come. And it hit me one day. We really create leaders. We have if you look at our alumni, we have people who are heavy in the community, moving the needle, changing the way we do things. So we may not have the celebrity that we think of, the way we think of like someone on TV and things of that sort, but we have people who continuously, generations of people who are out there changing the way the world we live in is. And that's, to me, that's something pretty, something to be pretty proud about.
Absolutely. I see Edward Smart is saying that he never considered going to an HBCU. He went to Kent State. And that's the thing. A lot of guidance counselors, unfortunately, they don't steer the students to HBCUs. Recruiters, coaches for high school students don't steer students to HBCUs. I know my daughter, my center child, she was, getting recruited, and she probably was the only one getting recruited by HBCUs that was even looking at HBCUs. And I remember her high school coach would tell schools, one of her high school coaches, not the one that she graduated with, but would tell coaches at schools, she doesn't mind, like she won't mind going to an HBCU. Her parents are cool with that. And I'm thinking, why not?
What does that mean?
Yeah. But we have players that after a year of going to a D1 school, transferring to HBCUs, transferring to AMP where she's at now, because they weren't getting that support. They were feeling like outsiders, just wasn't a a good fit necessarily. But don't sleep on HBCUs, even as an athlete. And I encourage, if you are part of a recruiting team for college, for HBCUs in particular, and you are in towns for more than one night for your game, and you hear of other games going on, go to those high schools and see what's out there. If your budget doesn't allow you to do recruiting trips, go like during the CIAA. I was always asking Lincoln to come to, because it was always tournament time for my daughters. Come to those games when you don't have a game. Don't hang out. This is business. You can recruiting a whole bunch of great players from the Carolinas. So I understand budgets, but that's what smaller PWI schools do. They, even when they are away somewhere, because one of my daughter's younger coaches from when she was younger, she said she did this when she coached at a PWI. They had a small budget. Whenever they were traveling to play, she would always get a schedule of the local high schools and make it her business to go to at least 1 or 2 games on that trip. As an HBCU, we have to do that too, because this is ridiculous. We have amazing talent, and the competition could be just as great as a D1. I don't understand why not.
And I'm going to push some of that back on the alumni, because I guess that's what I do. One, we have to be positioned to support student athletes come in through scholarships, through relationships, through branding. So that's one place where we can play a role, not with just our own dollars, but helping our university create and bridging some of the relationships. The other is, if there's a budget issue, you can help your university out by at least helping identifying students or sending students their way to at least start the conversation. So it doesn't always have to be one-sided either. We can, as alumni, I think our role is to help step into the gap and help bridge those areas that, in areas where we may not just have all of the resources, and help try to fill the gap so that we can grow and become a little more sustainable in those ways.
Absolutely. I see Shereen Proud of the King says, Dr. Luis has always been woke.
That's right, Dave.
Absolutely. And Be You Beautiful One, thank you for joining the live. She's saying hello to everyone.
Hello.
Thank you for being here. Let's see. I see Blinding Lights is in the building. I appreciate you for being here. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mark J. Mark J is saying excellent points. Sherry, thank you. And thank you, Vern, for encouraging people to thumbs up the live. I appreciate that. And thanking everyone for being here. Yes, indeed. So again, Kenny dropped off. His phone probably ran out of batteries. That's probably what happened. Because he had to go from his, because that happens. He's probably was out all day with it and everything. Okay, so with graduation, because we also have amazing speakers at our graduation. I know, 1 year we had Rosa Parks, we had
Desmond Tutu.
I think also, who else did we have? Some people, we were talking about them.
Susan Taylor, I remember.
Yeah, that was at my graduation. Susan Taylor.
Yeah.
And, right on the tip of my tongue, the editor of Ebony at the time.
God, now I'm having a brain fart.
He's not Johnson. Geez.
I know
It's going to come to me at 3 a.m. I'm going to yell it out. But that was like confirmation for me because that was the year that I graduated. And these were journalists. Susan Taylor of Essence at the time.
Yeah, she was at the time, right? She was the brand.
He said, Mark J said Graves.
No, not Graves. Graves is Black Enterprise.
Okay.
Right. He did get an honorary degree, so he was there. John Lewis.
Her husband had a crush on Susan Taylor.
Lerone Bennett Jr.
Yes.
Right.
That's right.
And so I know, a lot of people, they graduate college and, of course you want to have a return on your investment. So you're trying to find a job, you want to utilize your degree. One thing I was really impressed with, and even as I look around, many, if not all, at some point have had very successful careers, right after. So what did you guys do after you graduated with your HBCU degree from Lincoln University?
So, I went back to New York. I was pre-med, but I was kind of at a crossroads. And what was interesting was my chairperson, who I can still call to this day, and he goes, "Vance, is that you?" And he's like 80.
Mhm.
He was like, "I don't think you really want to be a doctor." And I was like, I've been saying this since I was 8. So I went home and I worked at Woodhull Hospital in Brooklyn, so I can get my Brooklyn props now, right? In Bushwick. And discovered that I really didn't like anything on me. So medicine was probably not going to be my but I really loved chemistry and missed it. And I say that because it was really nurtured in us in the chemistry department at Lincoln University. So one day I picked up and moved to North Carolina, and I went to a second HBCU. I went to A&T for graduate school.
Mhm.
And then I entered the workforce. And so I've been an engineer for over 20 years now, over 25 years, goodness gracious. But I would say that I think largely my career path, which I've been very pleased with, has been due to all of what was planted in me at Lincoln. And just that idea that nothing was beyond my reach. I think sometimes our professors reached higher for us than we did for ourselves. And that's pretty amazing, I think.
Absolutely. What about you, Bill?
Yeah, I went back to New York as well. I actually started first working for New York Telephone because someone asked a question earlier about internships and working while you're in school. I used to work for a telephone company like every summer while I was at Lincoln, and then they had an offer for me. It was actually in customer service, which wasn't exactly what I went to school, but it was still communications related.
Mm-hmm.
But I went back to New York and I was trying to break into journalism. And so I actually spent time with Wilbur Tatum, who was then the editor of the Amsterdam News. And Wilbur Tatum is a Lincoln alum, the late Wilbur Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
And he was mentoring. But he didn't have any positions for me, but he allowed me to, kind of shadow him and spend time with him. And he had advised me to look at going to grad school. And New York Telephone went on one of its many strikes. New York Telephone now is now Verizon. But back then it was just notorious for always going on a strike like every other year. So I went from broke student coming out, having money, fiesta, and all of a sudden went on strike. I was like, oh my gosh. I started looking at all these grad schools that I've been getting letters from, and one of them, University of Arizona. And I said, man, let me go do something different. I'd never been to Arizona. And I think a lot of that too came from Lincoln, that ability, that desire to venture out. And I ended up going to University of Arizona for grad school journalism. And then my career started from there, the Arizona Republic. And then I moved around all over the country, Tribune, and then ended up in Virginia, the Virginia Pilot a couple of times, Ebony for a short time, then back in Virginia. So, I started working for the telephone company. I was actually making more than I made at the beginning as a journalist. But that wasn't really what I wanted to do. And my intention was to come back to New York and be a journalist and write about hip hop and all of that, but it didn't work out that way. But it's still, it's all good.
You can still write about hip hop.
Yeah. And you have your PhD. That's awesome.
That is amazing.
Yep. And I would tell you, what you said earlier about loving Lincoln. I mean, I've got a PhD from Old Dominion University in Virginia. I love Old Dominion. I love University of Arizona. I give money to both schools. But when people ask me, well, what schools you go to? My instinct is to say I went to Lincoln.
Yeah.
I don't, and it's not that I'm slighting the other two schools. That's just where, my foundation and it's where my heart is.
Love.
Absolutely. Kenny, so we're talking about what did you do after you graduated from Lincoln?
No, I want to say I'm sorry. I've been having internet issues that's going on.
I know he had to put a quarter in the phone. Working. That's what he had to do.
But after I graduated Lincoln, I went on. Well, my intention was like yours. I wanted to do law school, and then I said I'm going to work for a year, and then I'm going to go to school, get some money, and go to law school. And I ended up working in insurance. I was doing insurance for a year, and then I got accepted. To school, but I got accepted to a job at probation, and I decided to take that job. And so I've been there now over 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you close to retirement,
Yeah.
young man.
Yes.
Mhm.
I got the years. I just don't have the age.
That's awesome. For me, since law school was my path, I went into working for the environmental law firm as an editor. Did that for 4 years. Got married, but prior to that, I was going to grad school as well and coaching girls basketball. And then once I got married, we moved to different parts of the country: California, St. Louis, New Orleans, and landed in Charlotte. And because of that, I always had my own business. My own business was consulting small businesses. My own business was also helping students get scholarship money for college. And then we went into real estate and have become real estate investors. We did a real estate development. And when I say we, that part was my husband and I, or is my husband and I still, real estate development. And then I started becoming an adjunct instructor, professor at community college and here in North Carolina at a college right outside of Charlotte. And I teach workforce development, continuing education. I also have developed the apprenticeship and internship program that the city of Charlotte is utilizing to help bridge the economic gap that is here and to have upward mobility within our city. So I contribute a lot of that to Lincoln and the foundation that it laid out for me, to even have the confidence to do all those things and to put it all together. Because at Lincoln, everything builds on to the next. And so everything I have done I continuously build on to the next. And I definitely take my hat off to Lincoln and thank them. Absolutely. Let's see. We have in the chat, Vern is saying hello. And she said, congratulations to you, Dawn, for the 20 years. Let's see. She said, wow, y'all were all over that. That is nice. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. So now let's talk about the virtual homecoming. Like I said in the beginning, virtual homecomings is a thing. It's not something that we ever thought would have to happen, but it is here. And so I want to definitely direct this to all three of my guests. How did you go into that? What is it going to look like? Our virtual homecoming is this weekend. Tonight at 8, we actually have a karaoke that's going to be going on. That's another group of our alum that is putting that together. But what's the thought process around the virtual, the why? Why a virtual homecoming?
I think that when COVID first hit and we were all struggling to figure out what this was going to look like, people immediately, my joke is Zoom created the COVID virus because immediately people started jumping on these virtual platforms, and Zoom won. Google was trying to get in there, but Zoom won. And so prior to that, I think we already started mastering how do we reconnect virtually, right? Because we all found ourselves in situations where we didn't know what this virus was doing. We didn't want to get around our family members. We didn't want to spread it. And so I would say that a lot of the Lincoln alumni had already started down the process. They were throwing parties on Instagram. The DJ for the MAB ALU Office of Alumni Relations, that's a long title, party tomorrow night is done by DJ Smooth Jason, who started off with the parties for us. And everybody was always at Netflix parties, watch parties on those. So by the time homecoming came, and I think we all reconciled ourselves to the fact that we weren't going to be on the yard. And for some people, it was a longer adjustment than others, like trying to figure it out. The conversations were happening. One of the things that I'm tasked with as the alumni president is to have the general body meeting. So we had already had a couple via Zoom, and we really spent a lot of time every time is a little better, hopefully. And now that is virtual, rather than having 40 people in a room, we have over 200. So that's been really a nice, if we can find a benefit of COVID, that's been a good benefit because now people are more engaged for various reasons, but now they have access that they didn't have before. And then as far as some of the parties, I know the school was working on things. Will reached out to me and said, hey, how about if we join forces and we're going to do our thing. And we're going to do all the work and you guys can just come in and hang out with us. And I said, oh, well, that's the best offer I've had all week. You know, we'll help with marketing and getting people out there. But I think it's a way, we know it's not physical, but for Lincoln people, we need to touch each other. So we'll be touching each other virtually. For all of those out there who didn't get to go to an HBCU, feel free to join us. I have lots of friends who didn't go to Lincoln and they feel like Lincoln alum because they've spent so much time on the yard and know so many people. So we are a very warm and open family.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I want to, before Will and Kenny say what they are going to say about the virtual homecoming, I love that invitation, and most definitely, and I will have the link to the homecoming jam tomorrow in the description box under this video once it's published. Also, I want to say I have gone to North Carolina A&T's GHO because my daughter goes to A&T, and they call it GHO because they say it's the greatest homecoming on earth. And I don't agree with that. I want to say it was, you know, it was all right. But I came to the conclusion that your own homecoming is the greatest homecoming on earth. Right. I feel Lincoln's homecoming is the greatest on earth. I'm sure people that went to Howard feels the same, Hampton and so on and so forth. So for them to try to claim that, that's fine. They're claiming it for theirs. Well, we're claiming it for ours. We're not going to take that acronym. However, I wouldn't say that theirs is the greatest homecoming on earth for everyone. Let's put it that way. But it was good. It was good, guy.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think maybe the CIAA tournament eclipses Lincoln's homecoming. Maybe.
The first couple of years.
Maybe. The CIAA. Yeah, but, you know, I think I've been to a lot of other homecomings, and it's like, but the CIAA tournament, I've been there, and I'm like, okay, this is different.
Well, but, if you're going to put it like that, it's really the, what's it called during Thanksgiving break, and it's Southern. If Hawaiian is in the building, she would know. It's Southern and Grambling, and they play at the Superdome, and it's called.
Oh yeah, the
classic.
Is it a classic?
The Bayou Club.
The Bayou.
Yeah. I think that is the Bayou.
Now that right there.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
It's like Mardi Gras for Black people. It's unbelievable. I was like, where have you been? But you know,
I mean, but you know the you know, and I appreciate Dawn being receptive to our alumni Sigmas, my organization, New Chapter Alumni Board, acronym being MOB, and we basically have gotten together to raise funds for our endowment that I mentioned earlier, Nkrumah and Ezekiel, because we want to leave a legacy for the chapter in their honor and all the other brothers that have come through. And so we're in the midst of preparing to celebrate our 100th anniversary in 2022. And so all of this, what we're doing is a ramp up to that. And it was actually Kenny's idea about the virtual party. And we had the first one that we did. And a lot of us were unsure, you know, about, you know, how do you do a virtual party? But Kenny, being a party promoter, you know, had done all those physical parties. He had the vision and he had the belief that it could still work. So we got together and, you know, all of the brothers that were involved in putting it together just put their creative juices into it and said, look, we're going to try. And it turned out that a lot of people, you know, loved it. Jason, as a DJ, was doing his thing. We had games. We had, you know, presentations, video. We just adapted, just like what you're doing with your show, and just like what we've all been challenged to do is you look at the new situation that you're in, what's the new normal, and you adapt to it. And the interesting thing is that a lot of conventions were already been going, you know, hybrid, you know, having a virtual component to it. So this shutdown of COVID has just kind of forced us into a direction that we're already going anyway. So many of us, I mean, my job for the past 5 years has been primarily virtual, you know, being dispersed and working virtually. So this has forced us to be able to adapt and to see that, you know, you can still have community online, just like you guys as YouTubers, you've got a community online. And so you can do a party online. So it's going to be hot. It's exciting. It's going to be hot. like I said, I wasn't even a believer, and they drafted me and made me one of the key people, making it interesting for people. So and that's what you got to do, is just adapt. So I credit Suge for that, because I was like, nah, man, I don't think so.
Well, let me say that this virtual homecoming, is going to be epic. There's a when I was doing party promotions, there's a movie that my partner always used to quote. It's called Field of Dreams. He said, if you build it, they will come. And so I was talking to Will, trying to sell him on it, because I knew if I can get him sold on it, then I can take it to the masses. And the homecoming, the virtual homecoming the virtual party that we did the first time, the virtual party we did the first time, your Sans, Hawaiian, had her birthday, enjoyed her birthday. And listen, that weekend, she told me, we were talking on the phone, she said, listen, I'm going to be this weekend, I'm going to be going to the casino, so I can't, I'm going to flash in and flash out. But Jason made the music so hot. She was in the casino dancing. And, she was enjoying herself. Every time she wanted to get off, she kept coming back on. And what I noticed from that, and maybe a lot of people can relate to this, you ever notice when you go to homecoming and say you on one side of the yard, and they say you just met so-and-so, they was just here. You just met this person, they were just here. And so with the creation of the virtual homecoming, everybody comes at the same time. Although you can't touch them and feel them and be near them, you can scroll and you can see them, and you can private chat them. And one of the things that for people that were all zoomed out, like Will say they've been doing Zoom forever, we want to make it interesting. And when I tell you that this will be epic, we got different things that we're doing. It's not going to be a Zoom party. It's going to be an experience. You're going to have an experience, and you get your libations, whatever you drink, whatever you eat, and sit around and see. I can see, oh, there go Sherry. Oh, there go Dawn. You're seeing people, and then, wow, I ain't seen Dawn in like 20 years. And you private messaging her while she's enjoying the music. That's what we want to have, the experience. Because you know what? As Dawn said, we are touchy-feely people. But you know what? At the end of the day, when we make arrangements, you know what? Will, after COVID, let's get together and have some drinks. Let's get together and have some meat. No, Sherry, share me your number. Let me. Yeah. Or Dawn, do your number still work that I have? Like that. And that's what the experience is, because we love each other. We genuinely, and you know what? One of the things I noticed about homecoming is this too. You ever see somebody that you never really talked to when you were on the yard? All of a sudden now, because you see them, because they're from the experience, you're like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Yeah. How's your family? Because you're just so happy to see them. The last thing I want to end with is this. Tomorrow is not promised to no man. And so we have to save the road to each other for the living while we can smell them. And we have to get together as much as we can, as often as we can, while we can. Because we all know people that we lost. Whether it be through this COVID or they're just not here anymore. Or we find out situations and we make time to be with each other, make time to be together. And that's why I know tomorrow will be epic.
Yeah.
You think about being, like you said, you think about being locked down in your place, but you can experience and touch your people and see it. And we spotlight certain people and say, yo, we see you out there. And, Hawaii and others will start dancing. They got the spotlight on them. And you'd be surprised, man, at how people enjoy themselves in the comfort of their home or, with their significant other there.
She said, y'all about to get me kicked out of this casino. She was in the casino dancing.
It's from 5 to 10 p.m. tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
5 to 10 p.m. And what is the link? Do you guys have the link available? I'll put it in the chat. I mean, in the description box, but what is the link?
TrueBlueProductions.com/events.
www.trueblueproductions. Yes.
So true with no E. True Blue Productions.
TRU.
Okay. Blue.
BLU.
Okay.
E.
No E.
Let me look at
Productions. Doing that. Productions.com. I'm not gonna
Yes.
post it yet, Dawn.
Yeah, .com/events.
I'm gonna check over here.
It's
Okay.
True Blue.
Yeah, he's right.
Yeah, but
what up to E?
no E at the end of you or both U's.
No E at the interview.
I just sent it to you.
Okay.
I just
True
sent it to you.
Blue.
Sure.
He left the E out on both ends.
Okay, so true. Okay, I got it then.
Yeah, I just sent it to you.
Oh, okay. I see what you put. All right. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be hot.
Okay. I'm excited for it. And I know a lot of schools are doing it. I know this weekend is actually Spellhouse's homecoming. But I highly recommend that you come to Lincoln University's homecoming. And I am so happy to have done this live with you all where we can discuss and chat, do a quad chat on our experiences going to an HBCU. And I want to do more like this, but I knew I had to start with the first, and the first is Lincoln University, no matter what anyone else says.
I wanted to echo what Dawn, what Bill said. I'm glad that when Dawn decided that, when Dawn gave us the green light and said we can, partner up and do something, I just ran. I was so happy. And I want to be able to say that 100% of the proceeds that we make is going to Lincoln University.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's how much Lincoln has changed our life. That we want to do something, we want to have involvement, we also want to pay it forward.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And Mob is about mentoring too. We're about mentorship and trying to mentor the next great, Coach Sherry, or the next Dawn, or the next Dr. Will. You know what I mean?
Or Kenny.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So everything is going to that endowment, and like he said, we're trying to inspire other alumni, other different groups to do the same. Be functional alumni that that pay it forward so the next generation can have it. And also the our young alumni group, they're gonna have the evening party. So we got the day party, for all generations, but starting early for the old folk. And then their party comes after us at I believe theirs starts at 9 o'clock. So DJ Maybach is actually going to be doing both parties. That's going to be hot. He's going to be simulcasting both. He's going to simulcast both. So that's going to be another interesting thing. How do you but these are the things that you can do. You adapt that you can do in a virtual environment. Simulcast, do two parties at the same time. So we previewing theirs, and then they're going to take up the rear and let the young people take it all into the wee hours of the morning, like we used to do. That's right.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I know I have my ticket. I picked up my ticket today, and I'm so glad that I did, and I can't wait for it. I know I've attended the live parties that were on Instagram, especially when Frank Brown was DJing them, and oh my goodness! I felt like I was really at the party, like for real.
You felt like you was in the bottom of the sub.
Yes. And I felt it the next day. So the second one he had, I made sure before it, I took 2 Advil, and then after it, I took 2 Advil.
And he used
That's
vinyl.
our life.
He used vinyl, and our young alumni told me, they were like, "That was dope. He was using vinyl," and I was like,
"Yes,
that's how we kind of grew up, huh?"
And look who's in the building. I see Kyle Carey.
Hello.
He said, "Hello, everyone." As John Cornelius would say, it's going to be a stone cold. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Right.
How are you?
Go Mob.
It's good to see you, Kyle.
Another Mob brother.
Have you in the chat. I always feel like I see them, even though they're in the chat. It's words, but I'm still seeing them. So thank you for being here. Well, anything else you would like to add to the homecoming? I mean, I know we don't get to touch, and I was looking forward to this year. I'm fine. Yeah. Well, we were supposed to be empty nesters this year, but we're not. Virtual school. But I was like, okay, everyone's out. I don't have any tournaments. I don't have any games. I don't have anything but myself, my husband, and I am going to homecoming this year. And I'm going to homecoming.
You are.
Hey, exactly. You're going to homecoming.
Yeah.
That's right. And that money that you would have spent going down to the yard, Just
send it to
donate it to Lincoln. Send
Yeah.
it to Lincoln.
Right.
Just send it to Lincoln.
Yeah,
And
absolutely right.
ALU is pushing 20,200 this weekend. We'll announce it at the meeting. We're asking everybody, we're figuring on low ends, people spend $200 for the weekend. So everybody takes that $200, send it to Lincoln University, and we can do 20,200 for 2020. Make 2020 a little more positive than it's been.
No, you're right. A hotel room, an outfit, a haircut or manicure.
You gotta eat, you gotta drive.
Exactly. Gas. Exactly.
Yeah. I want to, I don't know why I can't. Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm going to drop the link because I have information. I have the flyer to the party tomorrow and the information also for them to be able to check it out. But Dawn, what is the ask?
We're trying to reach 20,200 by the end of the weekend. So we're asking everybody take that $250, and again, we know that's the low end, and donate it to Lincoln in any capacity you want, but directly to the school. And I want to make sure I have the website correctly because it does get a little strange.
2020, you said? I mean, 220?
I'm sorry?
What is that number again? You said?
So the overall goal is 20,200 for the weekend. So, I mean, if 100 people gave $202, we'd reach it easily.
Okay.
We'd love to exceed it. I mean, our students, we don't know what COVID is going to do for the rest of the semester. Our president, her goal is 1.7 million for the year. We're asking people to sign up for those recurring gifts. You're not going to miss $25, $50, $75, $100 a month, you know?
Mm-hmm. I got you.
So I will get that link to you. I'm trying to make sure I have it right.
Okay. If you could put it in the chat, in our private chat, that would be great.
Okay.
Yeah. That would be great. Okay. And once and for all, before we close, Mark J said New Jersey tolls.
Right there.
Right. Before we end, and can we just clear the air, clear the debate? Not a debate for us, but why is Lincoln the first university HBCU? Why?
Well, you want me to answer that?
Hey, give us the dissertation, Dr. Will.
Well, hey, it's the first because you can't be a university unless you're granting degrees.
Check, please.
So in 1854, Lincoln, founded as Ashman Institute, was founded to grant degrees. So it was modeled after Princeton because it wouldn't allow Black students to go to Princeton. So Presbyterian Church said, we're going to put together a school and grant degrees to people of African descent. The Cheney started earlier, but it was not a school. It was what you would call today a trade school or a training school. And Cheney is significant because a lot of the professors and people that came out of that school were people who eventually came over to Lincoln with open and train. But you can't be a college unless you are granting degrees. And a lot of schools started as normal schools, is what they called them.
Right.
And then they evolved and became colleges. And then you got Wilberforce, which is the first Black owned and run HBCU, founded, I believe that was in 1856. So if somebody want to talk about being the first, I'll listen to Wilberforce because Wilberforce is Black owned and run. That was us. That was Black. That's the AME Church. But Lincoln was the first institution founded to grant degrees. So Cheney is the oldest. We love Cheney. Lincoln is the first, and also Wilberforce is the first because it's the first to be Black owned and Black run. So get your history right. Stop all that fake news marketing. That's how it goes.
That was our history minute. A history minute. As we chat in the quad. That's the kind of chit chat you get in the quad too.
That's right.
Absolutely. So in closing, is there anything else that you guys want to share with the audience about, something encouraging, inspiring, something to continuously motivate them moving forward?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Ladies first. Go ahead.
Well, no, first, Sherry, thanks for having me. Thanks for having us. This has been a great conversation. I love any opportunity for us to tell our story. I think Lincoln's story should be bigger and brighter, so we're going to get there. I would just say for those of you who are considering HBCUs for your children or your children, I know sometimes there's a conversation about, is it realistic? Is it the real world? And I hope you see from this conversation with us that you're not missing out. As a matter of fact, you're missing out by not going. And it may not be for everyone, but give it a try. Just like the PWIs, we have a diverse network of HBCUs to choose from. So of course, we want you to send your kid to Lincoln. Of course, that's our first. But if Lincoln is not for you, there are tons of HBCUs that can meet your needs. So at least put them on your college tour.
Mm-hmm.
It's serious consideration.
Absolutely.
I'd say, during the times that we're facing now, and and kids needing that mentorship and having someone that embraces them, and you find, like Sherry said originally, people, like-minded people that look like you, and people come in many forms, and people have many experiences, because a kid from New York has different ways than a kid from Virginia or a kid from North Carolina. And I think that, it's an experience, and with every experience, comes stories, and comes long living. Like, all of us are lifelong friends, have been, and we have friendships, and you conjure friendships. Sometimes friends, they say that you can't pick your family members, but you absolutely can pick your friends.
Mm-hmm.
And and we can each individually say that we have some of the best friends in the world, some of the best friends for a long time, for over 30 years or 20 years or however long.
Absolutely.
I would just echo everything that has been said. And I had the pleasure of recently meeting a recent grad, Jabir McKnight, who is writing. He wrote a piece for our newsletter. This brother, recent grad, 1 or 2 years ago, he's a chief communications officer, Sheila Jackson Lee.
Yeah, that's a 2020.
2020, so for Congressman Lee.
Wow.
Came out.
Wow.
What more needs to be said about somebody who can walk out of Lincoln, coming out of the journalism, the communications program I went through many years ago. He can walk and now is on Capitol Hill.
Wow.
Working for one of the most important congresswomen. That's Lincoln produced that. Yeah. And he's done that because he came on campus, and the work that he put in, that he got out of Lincoln. And any campus is going to be what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. I've gone to University of Arizona. I've gone to Old Dominion University. I will put any campus. I've been on PW. I've taught at Northwestern University in Chicago, in Illinois. Any campus, they're all accredited. There's all the same books. There's all the same information.
Yeah.
Is what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And we're still producing high-level talent like Jabir. So
yeah,
that you said it was just last year.
Yeah, finished in the
so
wow.
Alum. So that just goes to show that pay it forward.
Yes,
exactly.
Absolutely. Wow. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. You could have been anywhere else, but you said, you know what? I want to go and represent my school. I gave you a call in the 11th hour. This thought just came to me, and for you all to say yes and be here and share such valuable experiences. These are experiences that books are written about. These are stories that will stand the test of time. These are stories that legacies are made from. And my hope is that whatever school you select is the best fit for you. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you that an HBCU is a grooming ground for greatness. And if you are wanting to be great, I highly recommend. And, you you could say I'm biased or whatever, but I recommend Lincoln University. But all are wonderful. And I will have more alumni from different schools on different topics throughout. So I hope that you continue to come back and check out what I'm talking about, what quad chats I'm having, what real talks I'm having. And this was not just a quad talk, it was a real talk and real life. So I appreciate you for all being open and honest. There's good, bad, and indifferent. Nothing is perfect. So if you're only going to a school thinking it's perfect, and once you see the flaws or the chips in the armor, you ready to bounce, don't do that, because that's life. You have to take the good with the bad sometimes. And especially if the good outweighs the bad, then you in the right place. That's home. And so once again, I want to thank, and this is the website to Lincoln University, and I know you have your pens and papers out, so please capture that. But I want to thank Ms. Dawn for being here, and Mr. Kenny and Mr. Will, Dr. Will, for being here. And I'm going to have information about Lincoln. I'm going to have information about the virtual homecoming this weekend in the description box below, so that if you are interested, you can come and participate. All are welcome. Also, I will have information about how you can further support Lincoln if you're looking for a place where you can donate and know that your money is going to make a difference. Definitely, let me tell you, when I go to Lincoln and when I travel north to south, I always drive through the campus, even though it's off the beaten path a little bit, because I want to be home. And I'm always so amazed and inspired by all of the building that's going on, all the rehab that's going on. A beautiful campus. The quality of the education is still on par, and that is where your funds go. So definitely it is a great investment either way, whether you're going there, sending your student there, or just donating back there. It is definitely a great investment. So with that being said, I also want to thank Creative Minds Create for being the sponsor for tonight's live. I appreciate you. And their website is here. And this is why I need a producer. I highly recommend you go check out what they have to offer, because they have beautiful items, and I can't wait to get my piece. It's coming soon. And I see I have another chat. Let me see. Yes. Okay, so yes, whether you're going to Lincoln or to another homecoming, remember the money that you're saving from not going there physically is money that you could be sending back to the school as a donation. So keep that in mind when you are deciding what should you do, how should you do it. That's definitely a great way. Thank you, Dawn, for sharing that. All right, everyone, you can catch me here every Friday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this channel is about workforce development, career readiness, entrepreneurship, and of course, real life, real issues, and real talk. Thank you all for tuning in. Remember, practice how you play, because when you practice really, really hard, you will always play to win. Thank you, everyone.